Hello? Good evening.
It's the 13th of September 1969 and John steps onto the stage at the Varsity Stadium in Toronto, setting forth a chain of events which sees him just 1 week later announcing to the group that the Beatles are over.
Okay, we're just going to do numbers that we know, because we've never played together before. Well, it's a 1 for the money, 2 for the show.
The day before, Toronto promoter John Brower places a speculative call to Apple Records.
It sounds great, isn't it? We could take, if we could get Eric and George and a few people. Sounds like good, this Canadian thing.
If you got
well,
London,
it'd be nice if we could
get
get a group together to take over. I wonder if George would do it. I doubt he wouldn't after seeing that Stones concert.
No, but if it's Canada, he might, it's not
No,
like
I doubt if he'd come to
doing
Canada.
London.
No,
wouldn't.
I don't need bingo, I just need a group,
Would Paul go?
No. I mean, there's only George, the only hope. He was going to do the Hyde Park with
George
me, but
and
then
Eric might go.
Eric might come, but I mean, could you ring George and ask, could he get me a group together for tomorrow night for Canada?
With no time to rehearse, John, Yoko, Eric, Klaus and future Yes drummer Alan White attempt an impromptu rehearsal on board the Boeing 707 en route from London to Toronto.
And I said, look, there's this thing on in Toronto, you want to come? They said, okay. Now, we didn't know what to play because we never played together before, the band. And on the airplane, we're running through these oldies. So the rehearsal for that record, which turned into not a bad record, was on the plane with electric guitars. So you not even acoustic, we couldn't hear, saying, are we doing the Elvis version of Blue Suede Shoes or the Carl Perkins, with the different break at the beginning, jing jing instead of jet whatever. And that's what we did. We just wrote this list. I hadn't got the words to any of the songs. I knew Dizzy Miss Lizzy, but there's a couple by Blue Suede Shoes and a couple I hadn't done since Liverpool in the Cavern. And that's all we could do. And we went on. We were so nervous because we didn't know what we were doing.
In addition to 3 rock and roll standards plus Year Blues from the White Album, comes a new song from John.
We've never done this number before, so best of luck. It's called Cold Turkey. 1, 2, 3, 4. But temperature's rising.
Taking to the stage at midnight and maybe expecting a Beatles set, the response from the audience is somewhat muted.
Get out of that. Come on, wake up. How we do it? This is what we came for, really. It's give peace a chance, so sing along with it.
Yeah, let's sing together.
I've forgotten all those bits in between, but I know the chorus, so. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Following a well-received performance of Give Peace a Chance, to round off the set, the band launch into 2 of Yoko's avant-garde numbers, departing the stage 17 minutes later to a bank of continuous feedback.
And now Yoko's gonna do her thing all over you.
Following the gig, John seems newly emboldened, unencumbered with the hassle of playing live with the Beatles and all that chaos entails.
It was just great experience. I thought, wow, it's fun with other people, you know. It was instantly creative, and there was no big palaver, you know. It wasn't like this set format show that I'd been doing with the Beatles where you go on and do these same numbers, I Want to Hold Your Head, you know, and the show lasts 20 minutes, you know, and nobody's listening and they're just screaming and the amps are as big as a peanut. And, you know, it was more of a spectacular rather than rock and roll.
John felt duly vindicated when his and Yoko's self-produced Capitol album, Live Peace in Toronto, 1969, swiftly sold 1 million copies and peaked at number 10 in the Billboard charts.
And we tried to put it out on Capitol, and Capitol didn't want to put it out. They said, this is garbage, we're not going to put it out with her screaming on one side, you doing this sort of live stuff. And they just refused to put it out. But we finally persuaded them that, you know, people might buy this. Of course, it went gold the next day. And then the funny thing was, this is a side story, Klein had got a deal on that record that it was a John and Yoko Plastic Ono record, not a Beatles record, so we could get a higher royalty, because the Beatles royalties were so low, they'd been locked in 63. And Capitol says, sure, you can have it. You know, nobody's going to buy that crap.
Just a throwing, yeah.
They just threw it away and gave it us. And it came out, and it was fairly successful. It went gold. I don't know what chart position, but I've got a gold record somewhere that says. And 4 years later, we go to collect the royalties, and you know what they say? This is a Beatle record.
Oh, really?
So Capital EMI file that under Beatle record. Isn't it incredible?
1 week later, John, Paul and Ringo meet with Alan Klein at Savile Row.
Well, I said to Paul, I'm leaving. We were in Apple, and on the way over I knew before I went to Toronto, I told Alan I was leaving. I told Eric Clapton and Klaus that I was leaving, and I'd like to probably use them as a group, you know. I hadn't decided how to do it, to have a permanent new group or what. And then later on I thought, fuck it, I'm not going to get stuck with another set of people, you know, whoever they are. So, but I announced it to myself and to the people around me on the way to Toronto a few days before, and on the plane Alan came with me. I told Alan, you know, it's over. And then when I got back, there was a few meetings, and Alan had said, well, cool it, because there was a lot to do, you know, business-wise. It wouldn't have been suitable at the time, you know. And then we were discussing something in the office with Paul, and Paul was saying something or other, like to do something, and I kept saying no to everything he said, you see. So it came to a point I had to say something. And Paul said, well, what do you mean then? So I said, I mean, the group's over, I'm leaving. But Alan was there. He'll remember exactly, and she will. This is how I see it. Alan was saying, don't tell. He didn't want me to tell Paul even, you know.
It would be months before the public would learn of the breakup of the Beatles via a press release from Paul, but that's another story.